Hey everyone. So, hi. I have a whole bunch of things rumbling around in my head as I was planning to do this video. And one of the things that I wanted to, because once again, I was talking about that Mean Girls phenomenon, and then I remembered one other point that I wanted to mention. And then I want to get on to something about artistic, the balance between libertarianism and socialism in a philosophical sense, not in a economic sense. Um, so the first thing I wanted to talk about was I saw, and I feel like I'm saying this name a lot. I saw Marianne Williamson on Bill Maher, and there was a guy there, Sexton, I can't remember. Um, and he said that he thought that that MSNBC and CNN had to pit the candidates against each other and get them kind of on the defensive so that the truth comes out, that when you have more conflict that people are more honest. And Marianne Williamson jumped in, and I was glad that she did because they weren't giving her a lot of opportunities. Once the panel kind of came together, they weren't giving her a lot of opportunities to jump in. She did very well in the interview with Bill Maher, but when it came to reparations, one of the other guys gave his whole speech, and she didn't get a chance really to go into it anyway. So she jumped in on that topic, and she said it was really my hope for the debates, that everyone could get an opportunity to express themselves and be their best self, and then the audience could assess, in a leisurely way, without feeling like there's this race and time pressure and people attacking you. And look, there are two kinds of people in the world. I mean, there are billions of kinds of people in the world. However, when we're talking about a sort of people who excel, there are there are two basic types of brains and egos, and one of them responds very well to competition and emergency situations, pressure and competition. And then there's the other kind of personality, which is like mine. And so you can understand why I might have been homeschooled due to this, which needs to feel like I have all the time in the world and I am totally at leisure to pursue my interests. And then I actually become very brilliant. Um, not that I'm saying that I'm brilliant, but well, I definitely have surprised myself. Let me put it this way: I have surprised myself when I am doing something. I have often, like, for instance, I taught myself to speak Hindi, and it was not. I had tried on several occasions to take classes, and they did not work. And one day, I just picked up a book and I started reading it, and I basically learned Hindi, and within a couple of months. And so it was sort of a surprise to me that I could do that when I was not under the gun. So anyway, um, so I questioned that, first of all, that he can say that about everyone. But I actually think that now I have met a couple of people who told me that when they were in Steiner schools, that they didn't do so well because their brain was kind of yearning for some structure and they were just sort of left to experiment, and they freaked out kind of. Now, those people who struggled with that are still brilliant, but I feel like if it should be sort of case by case. Like if that comes up for someone, I think we should start out with giving people freedom to explore and experiment, and then if people really want structure, then it can be developed for them. But I don't think that, anyway, that's a school thing. Um, and so basically, it's interesting because I also feel like there's too much of that kind of thinking in terms of the way interviews are conducted in our media. People are guests are very often being put onto the back foot. Um, Now, I would venture to say that, for instance, Joy Behar and Whoopi Goldberg and Meghan McCain, at least, and Sunny Hostin, do not believe what that guy's saying. Because when they like a candidate, they give them all the time in the world to talk however they want. So obviously, they believe that there's some benefit to interviewing that way. And then there were candidates who came on their show who they did not allow to finish sentences as much, like Tulsi Gabbard and Marianne Williamson. And I didn't watch all the others, but anyway. So I generally, if it were me who was in charge of such things, I would err. And so, for instance, Anna Kasparian believes in pushing back. You got to push back. And I was so grateful to Dave Rubin, who is admittedly, from a progressive perspective, a sort of laughable fellow, but I kind of get his point about interviewing styles. And Anna Kasparian, says that he's disingenuous by advocating for giving people the space to speak, and then she was characterizing that he gives too much the space to speak to right wingers to promote their ideology, and then not as much to left wingers. However, it was enough that it was worlds apart from the way left wingers had interviewed, for instance, Marianne Williamson, or supposedly Tulsi Gabbard did not do as well on there. But it's interesting. I suspect she's of the other type. I think that she responds better to high tension situations. Well, I mean, she went into the military, so obviously she has more of that kind of personality. Now, I think I've exhausted that topic. So what do I want to say about freedom of speech and libertarianism? So in a way, I read an article about libertarianism a couple of years ago, and I was like, oh, this is totally me. I love this. This is exactly what I believe in, actually. The freedom of the individual. And then I didn't realize at the time that it was the opposite, kind of considered to be the opposite of communism. I have family members who were officially communists. They were part of the Communist Party, and there's people in my family who were not allowed to go to the States because they were on a list. And it is interesting because I have often wondered at the fact that the communist and Marxism was kind of being read a lot by hippies during the hippie movement, and so they were kind of rubbing shoulders with artists and poets and that sort of thing. But then if you talk about the Cultural Revolution in China, it was sort of anti-art and anti-free expression and anti-individual freedom. And I feel like the hippie movement, at least, was definitely about, do your own thing and express yourself and be open, and but also with love. So basically what I want to say is how to balance the best of both ideals, because I think that when it comes to things like fashion and art and expressing yourself, making films, or then I become libertarian in my head. I want more freedom. But when it comes to let's see. Yeah, I do feel as though in a society that is run by a government, the role of the government is to help the people do their best. And I'm not saying that you have to lift people into success, which is the accusation from a lot of right-wingers about the left ideology, is that they're giving people free stuff. look, health and food are kind of basic needs, and education to live in this society. So it's not ridiculous to offer those things for free because people can't really survive without them in this society. Um, and then, so we're not asking for like free TVs or free luxury items or free phones, unless the thing is when something becomes necessary in order to function in a society, then I really think at that point it should kind of be for free. And so like clean water should be freely given. You shouldn't have to buy a bottle of water at the store just so that you don't get sick. And so that's my take on it. Freedom of religion is something I believe in. Now, I had a discussion with some Gideon Bible people on Quora about this because I was irate, absolutely livid, to the point where I actually performed a form of vandalism when I was in a hotel in Thailand run by Indians and people from Myanmar, from Burma. I like to call it Burma. And I don't think that's offensive. Anyway, I found a Gideon Bible in my room. And I'm like, why is it here? Look, I'm a pagan and sometimes I could be militant about that, but I would not want to restrict Christians' right to worship and even to talk about their faith to other people, to their friends and whoever. But when it comes to marketing your religion, I object. And even though they're doing that for free, like they're offering these Gideon Bibles for free, but I'm kind of like, look, this is Thailand, so it's the state religion is Buddhism, and I don't know. It made me want to put the Miss of Avalon in every room, and so I did this thing where I didn't have a copy of the Miss of Avalon that I could replace it with, and they had cameras everywhere. So probably at some point the security footage showed me running into. I didn't want to do this in my own room, so I ran into another room, and then that was empty, and then I took out one of the Gideon Bibles and I drew a druid on the kind of title page, and then I wrote Druidry in it, and then I put it back, and that was it. And then I felt better, and I didn't write anything nasty in the Bible, or meddle with the content of it or anything. It was just I don't know, I wanted to do something. I was just why is it here? And okay, so I think that there's a difference between expressing freely and pushing what you want to convince people of. That is a subtle difference, and I feel like when people are pushing, that should be regulated, but I feel like people expressing themselves should not absolutely be regulated, and I think that is a balance that we have yet to fully refine, but I think it's necessary. So in that sense, I think you kind of need a little bit of libertarianism and a little bit of socialism for regulation of certain things, because people invariably get over enthusiastic about things, and I have been slapped down for that myself. I'm kind of learning how to talk about Marianne Williamson without ramming it down people's throats, because that's not really why I'm doing it. Don't want to force feed anyone anything. Anyway, I think I'm done. I just wanted to talk, and I don't know if I'm gonna go watch a movie. I ended up watching Maleficent again. It wasn't that great. I went with my friend to watch a Thai movie, and the company that released the movie said that they were going to be sending it with subtitles to all the theaters and in English. My Thai is like nowhere near good enough to watch a Thai movie and not need subtitles. So we were in that, and then we were watching, and then there were no subtitles. So my friend went and complained to the manager, and he said, we'll put you in another movie, because actually the company, they said that it was going to have subtitles, but they didn't send them. They didn't do it. So I'm gonna write official complaint about that because I'm trying to learn Thai, and I want to learn more about the culture. I want to learn more, especially about the fantasy movies and you know which things are from what legends and whatnot. So anyway, so that was my evening. Okay, so I will leave this there and upload this and think of a title for the video. Okay, bye bye.